Dear Babaji, I have often heard that each person's life is predetermined, as if everything were written in an invisible book. If everything is predestined like that, do people really have the freedom to choose and change? Or is it all an illusion? My child, your question touches on one of the deepest mysteries of human existence. Imagine a wave in the ocean. It seems free to rise and fall, to curve and change direction as it wishes. But at the same time, it cannot be separated from the ocean, from the winds and currents that surround it. Likewise, humans are both free and bound. What you call destiny is the result of countless causes and conditions, karmic effects that you have created, not only in this life, but over countless lives. Every action, every thought, every emotion leaves an imprint, and these imprints combine to form your present situation. What you sow will bear fruit. This is the immutable law, like a shadow that never leaves. But destiny is not a life sentence. In every present moment, you are still sowing new seeds. And it is here that free will shines. You cannot instantly change the seeds you have sown, but you can choose to sow other seeds to create a new harvest. Questioner, so I am both bound by what has happened and free in the present? It sounds contradictory, Babaji. I only see contradictions when I look at life through the eyes of my little self, which is bound by time, memory, and fear. If I believe that I am just this body, just a stream of thoughts flowing, then yes, I will see my life as a pre-written script. But when you awaken, when you realize your true nature as pure consciousness, unborn, undying, unbounded, you will find that freedom has never left you for a single moment. Freedom does not mean doing whatever you want. Freedom is living without being controlled by fear, ambition, or illusion. Then you will understand destiny and free will are not two opposing forces, but two parallel streams. Destiny shapes the scene, and free will is how you move within that scene. Questioner, but Babaji, if the scene is already there, will any effort to change it really make a difference? Imagine destiny as a river. You cannot change the direction of the entire river at once, but you can choose how to row. You can find small branches that lead to new lands. If you rely on your own strength, you will soon be exhausted. But when you unite your will with the will of the Supreme Being, you will find the river lifting you up, carrying you toward the sea. The true power of free will lies not in resisting fate, but in transforming it into a path leading to the light. When you and the universe are in harmony, fate becomes a means, not a chain. Karma, awakening, and the door to liberation. Questioner, Babaji, I have heard a lot about the law of karma. But there is one thing that I am still not clear about. If all that I am experiencing is the result of past karma, can I really be free? Or can I just suffer for the rest of my life? Karma, my child, is not a curse. It is a patient teacher, giving you the experiences you need to learn the lessons your soul wants to learn. Remember, karma does not come to punish you, but to awaken you. Every difficult situation, every pain, every challenge is an invitation for you to return to your own wise nature. What keeps you stuck is not karma, but ignorance, forgetting who you are. When you identify with your emotions, thoughts, and circumstances, you will see karma as a prison. But when you become the observer, you begin to break the chains. Questioner, but Babaji, how can you observe when pain and suffering come so strongly? When the storm arises, the sea is rough. But deep down, the water is calm. You are that depth. The secret is not to push away the pain, but to see it from the position of one who knows that you are not the pain. Start with the smallest things. When a negative thought arises, instead of immediately believing it, breathe and look. When a strong emotion arises, instead of being carried away by it, stand still and observe. Over time, you will find that you are no longer driven by emotions as before, and then karma begins to lose its power. Questioner: So Babaji, if I am no longer driven by karma, am I free from destiny? When you are fully awakened, destiny, as you once understood it, will have no meaning. An enlightened being still lives in this world, but is no longer bound to follow the cycles of cause and effect. He acts not out of greed, not out of fear, not out of selfishness, but only out of love and guided by truth. Then action no longer creates binding karma, because it does not come from a limited ego. It is like a flower spreading its fragrance naturally, without asking for anything in return. My child, liberation is not running away from life, but living in it with a free mind, no longer afraid of any situation. Then you will know what absolute freedom is. Crossing the threshold of immortality. Questioner: Babaji, you have spoken of unity and freedom. But I still feel a gap between knowledge and experience. I know many things intellectually, but my heart and life are still full of old reactions. How can I really live in the new awareness? I can understand the ocean through books, but only when I dive into it do I know its saltiness. The same is true of spiritual knowledge. If it is kept only in the mind, it dries up and is easily carried away by the winds of doubt. But when I imagine, the sky remains the same whether dark clouds come or white clouds pass. The witness within you is the same. Emotions come and go, thoughts come and go, the body ages, but the witness remains motionless and whole. When you realize that you are the witness, you will see that all the fluctuations of life are but waves on the surface of the ocean, unable to disturb the stillness of the ocean. He asked, but Babaji, if you become a witness, will you become indifferent to life? No, my child. The witness is not an outsider to life, but the source of its love. When you are no longer caught up in scripts and roles, you are free to love without fear of loss, to give without calculation, to act without demanding results. This is not indifference, but pure love, love that is not dependent on circumstances or conditions. Questioner: What happens when you live fully in this awareness? Then you will realize a great secret: there has never been a distance between you and God. All searching, all questioning, all journeying, and exactly where it began, in your heart. You will see that destiny has no meaning, free will no longer needs to be debated, because they are all just different waves of the same ocean of awareness. And in that ocean, you are not just a drop of water, you are the ocean itself. Overcoming the illusion of life and death. Questioner: Babaji, I have heard many masters say that death is just a door. But when I think of the loss of those I love, or my own death, I still feel fear and sadness. How can I truly overcome this fear? I fear death because I mistake myself for the body. But this body is just a garment that the soul puts on to experience life on earth. When the old garment wears out, it is removed, and I put on a new one. What I really am, an immortal soul, has never been born and cannot die. My body has a first day and a last day, but my soul is not bound by time. Questioner: but Babaji, why do we feel loss when someone dies? Because I am attaching my love to the physical form and presence. True love is not in the form, it is in the very being of you and the other person. When the body is gone, love remains the same, only the way it appears changes. If you learn to connect with your soul, you will find that no one has ever truly left you. When your heart is still, you can feel their presence in every breeze, every ray of sunshine, every moment of peace. Questioner: what purpose does death serve in your spiritual journey? Death is a reminder that your time on earth is precious. It urges you to live mindfully, to love deeply, and to let go of unnecessary burdens. But for the soul, death is not the end, it is only a transition. Just as a student leaves one class for the next, your soul leaves this body to continue its lessons in another realm. Questioner: Babaji, if death is not real, then birth is also an illusion? Yes, my child. What you call birth is only the emergence of the soul in a new form. What you call death is only the leaving of that form. Between these two events, your essence does not change. You are like an actor who enters a play, assumes a role, and then ends the act. The actor does not die with the character. Likewise, your soul does not die with the body. Questioner: so Babaji, when you truly understand this, how will you live? You will live without fear and without attachment. You will love without fear of loss, give without fear of exhaustion, and enjoy each moment as a sacred gift. Then you will see that life and death are just two breaths of an eternal song. And you are the immortal musician, playing that music with God since time immemorial. The secret of reincarnation and final liberation. Questioner: Babaji, I have heard that the soul reincarnates again and again to learn lessons and pay off karma. But I do not understand why God keeps us stuck in this cycle of reincarnation. God does not bind anyone. It is ignorance and unrelinquished desires that lead the soul back. Imagine a student in school. If the lesson is not mastered, he repeats the class until he understands it completely. Not because the teacher wants to hold back, but because the student is not ready to move on. Likewise, the soul returns to life again and again, carrying with it the incompleteness, to experience, to mature, and finally to remember its true nature. Questioner: so Babaji, do we reincarnate forever? No, my child. When the soul reaches full realization, when all lessons are learned and all karmic burdens are released, the cycle of rebirth ends. That moment is called moksha or liberation. It is not a disappearance, but a complete merger with the self, like a drop of water dissolving into the ocean. From there, the soul no longer needs to be reborn, but can still return, not because of karma, but because of unconditional love to help those who are still finding their way. Questioner: so how does one reach that liberation? Live with awareness in every moment. Do not let your mind drift into the past or get caught up in the future. Do not act out of fear or desire, but out of clarity and love. Most importantly, realize that you have never been separate from God. When you realize this not just intellectually but through direct experience, the cycle of rebirth loses its reason for existence. Questioner: but Babaji, if I have not attained liberation in this, then you are no longer a limited individual, but life itself flowing through all forms. Free will in this state of liberation. Questioner: Babaji, I often think that free will means being able to make my own decisions in life. But if I am liberated and become one with God, does my own will still exist? When I am dominated by the ego, what I call will is really just a reaction of desire and fear. It is like a small boat drifting, thinking it is choosing its course, but is actually being controlled by the waves and currents. When I am liberated, the ego dissolves, and only God's will flows through me. Then I no longer feel the separation between my will and His will, for they are one. Questioner: but if everything is God's will, where is freedom? Real freedom is when you are no longer bound by any forced choice. In the state of liberation, you can act or not act, but everything you do is done out of pure love and infinite wisdom, not out of personal desire. Imagine a master musician. He can play any note, but each note he plays is in harmony with the entire cosmic music. That is free will in liberation, freedom in complete union. Questioner: so can a liberated person choose to return to samsara? Yes. But it is not a return because of karma, but a return because of compassion. A soul that is free can choose to return to guide, support, and enlighten those who are lost. That return is like a person who has reached the other shore but still rows back to rescue those who are struggling in the middle of the river. They do not have to do so, but love makes them do it. Questioner: Babaji, is it true that when I am one with God, all my actions are perfect? Perfect, but not in the worldly sense. The world calls it perfect when everything happens according to the ego's wishes. But in the eyes of God, perfect is anything that leads to the awakening and liberation of all beings. When I am one with Him, every step, every word, every silence carries the energy of awakening. Sometimes it is as gentle as a gentle breeze. Sometimes it is as strong as a storm, but always it comes from infinite love. Questioner: Babaji, how can I start living with the will of God now, when I am still unenlightened? Begin by listening. Listen to the whisper of the heart, where love and peace are. Every day, let go of your own desires a little, and let the space within you be filled with the guidance of the Supreme Being. Gradually, you will realize that His will has never been separate from you. Then you will see that true freedom is not wanting anything but wanting nothing but the truth.